Alright guys, my name is Jacob. Welcome to another video. If you're not familiar, this is my channel. I make stuff about GXs, camping, off-roading, whatever. Mostly GXs. Today, we're talking all about this bad boy. The Coastal Offroad Rear Bumper. So it is a do-it-yourself kit, and I've owned it for a little over a year now. I'm gonna take this off, barely hear myself. So I've owned it for a little over a year now. So I want to talk to you guys about my experience with it. I made a video a while ago when I had it for probably about a couple months. I made a video and just praised it, gave it all the praise in the world, because at that time I loved it. So now that I've had it for a little bit longer, a lot of conversations have been coming up about other bumpers, and people have been reaching out to me directly to ask how I liked the Coastal Offroad bumper. I figured today is a good time to finally come out with another talk about the rear bumper, a bit more updated. I've spent a lot more time with it, and yeah, let's hop into it. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about the pros and cons. So I wanna make it as easy as possible for everyone to digest why I love this bumper or why I maybe don't love this bumper. And yeah, we're gonna start with the pros, we're gonna end with the cons, and then we're gonna end on kind of a too long didn't read this final discussion about the bumper. So the pros, so starting right off the bat, the reason I actually loved the Coastal Offroad, but beyond like the styling of it, which is cool, is the price. It is incredibly affordable. Even if you take into account welding it and everything like that, and even powder coating it and stuff, because it comes obviously bare metal, it's relatively well priced. If you look at something like Metal Tech or any other bumpers, you're gonna spend a few thousand for a finished product. So I really enjoy the price point that Coastal Offroad is hitting with all of their products, but obviously today we're talking about the rear bumper. So I'm gonna give it to Coastal for pro, obviously. That doesn't make sense. So the next pro on the list, what is the next pro on the list? Okay, so the next on the list of pros is customizability-able. So no, it's so customizable. You're literally welding it together. So I've seen people put their logos on it, little like gussets in between, you know, the little trusses and stuff of their logo, of whatever they want. Looking back at it, I wish I would have put like a bottle opener on it or something random. But they're just, so you can make it your own. You can do whatever the heck you want with it. Let's say like, for example, this other swing out that holds the gas cans or whatever, you can just remove that, make it a max track holder, put a molly panel. You could do whatever the heck you want, and it's amazing because it's a customizable kit. It's just a bunch of metal that shows up with some instructions on how to make a bumper. You can do anything past that. Also, it's getting darker, so sorry if the video looks a little weird from the start to finish, but we're in Washington, so at what, 4 o'clock, it's nighttime, so sorry about that. Another pro is if you're wanting to get into fabrication or just building stuff, this is a great first welding project. It's not a structural, it doesn't need to be, I mean, it needs to be strong, but it's not your suspension, you know what I mean? Like if you're getting into welding, I don't recommend welding together a long arm kit. A rear bumper is a great time because you can really practice your welds, you can grind everything down, but it's a good place to get some good practice in when you're learning how to weld. The only thing that I would kind of advise on is my guy actually, since it has the recovery points, he actually TIG welded this and he left all the welds there. He didn't grind anything down just for make sure it was as strong as possible. Same with my hitch, but for everything else, I mean, it's a great place to learn how to weld without much cost, if that makes sense. Like if you make a sloppy weld on a random piece like this, you should be fine. It's not a structural piece. Your truck's not gonna die because of your welds. So, yeah. Okay, so the next pro is actually just, again, customizability. So you can actually order this in both aluminum and steel. For a rear bumper, I don't think I'd recommend doing aluminum, but if you're really trying to make, let's say you're not doing the swing outs and you're really trying to make a lightweight, just high clearance bumper, front and rear, whatever you're doing, aluminum is a really cool option. If you don't know how to weld aluminum, your fabricator might hate you for it, but it's really neat that you have the option if you want to build it out of aluminum. They're still super strong. I would choose steel personally, but you get the option. So going down the list, the next one is going to be it ships within a week, which is insane. I don't know if anyone's ever ordered anything for their vehicle, for their off-road, for the GX, whatever. Oh my, like shipping is the worst thing about ordering anything. You have to wait weeks and weeks, sometimes months, in order to get what you ordered. So the fact that I ordered this on a Tuesday and it was delivered by like the next Tuesday, insane. It'll send out, I think, like a day or two it takes to actually ship out. Shows up in a big cardboard box full of metal. It felt like instant. It felt like I ordered it off Amazon. Super cool, and the fact that it's coming from Canada is more insane, the fact that it comes so fast. So yes, shipping times is just one of my favorite things. And then the next thing I want to talk about, which you can kind of see, and this is a very strange thing. I don't have a lift on Bluey. Bluey is still stock height with some 285/70 tires, and it looks so high. The Coastal Offroad is high clearance. They make high clearance things. It is the highest clearance, the highest clearance rear bumper I've ever seen. So it just really tucks up right to the frame. It makes it look so high. It's insane. I've gained so much like rear end clearance because of just the bumper, which was kind of an insane idea to even think about. I love the clearance, but that's also why I'm gonna be going with the front bumper, because of the clearance. It's just so sucked up and tucked in there, so yeah. And then the next one I wanna go over too is the fact that it has recovery points. Not all front or rear bumpers will actually have recovery points built in, which is silly. They require you to either use a hitch system or something like that, which is silly. This comes with, it's a through metal, so it's super reinforced, super strong, and they're thick as hell recovery points. And you have 2 of them, which is really, really, really nice. And then on top of that, you also have a cutout for reverse lights too, since they know when you're using this rear tire, obviously you're gonna be blocking your reverse lights. So I stuck some really cheap Amazon special reverse lights back there, and they are somehow holding up just fine. But yeah, the recovery points, super awesome. And then more into like kind of the design of it is, it's just such a straightforward and simple to digest design. I really, really love this bumper, the way it looks, the way it functions. The latch system just makes sense. It's not very difficult to use, the latch system. It's like, when I got it, I was wondering if I would be annoyed of using it, of opening and closing it. I do my video production stuff, and I'm always having to grab stuff out of the back and move things around. I have a toddler, so, you know, the stroller and everything. It's no problem. It takes no time at all to open the latch system, and the design is just so straightforward and just makes sense. So good on them for making something that doesn't need to be complicated, not complicated. Good work. And the next ones are actually, I need to grab my iPad, give me a sec. So the next one, I wrote everything down because I forget things. This is real quotes from my wife, actually. I asked her, I said, hey, what do you love about the Coastal Offroad high clearance rear bumper for the GX470? And this is what she told me. She just says, looks nice. It's awesome. Holds your tire. That it does. She's not watching this, so I can say this. The reason I even convinced her that we needed the rear bumper was because, honey, we got big tires. I can't fit a spare under there. We have to get a rear bumper that can hold a spare. We can't drive around without a spare. It's not safe. And yeah, fast forward, I got the bumper. Okay. Easy to open and close. And she's super weak, so that's super cool that she said that. And then to top it all off at the end of the pros, this is hers again. I just think it looks nice. That means a lot. Thank you, Kylie, for the insight on the Coastal Offroad high clearance rear bumper for your 2003 to 2009 GX470. That sounded so good. I'm glad you guys stuck around for all the pros. Now let's get to the juicy part, the cons. So the pros was easy, right? Those are the things I love. Those are the things I think about. Let's get into the cons. So the cons, at the end of the day, this bumper is as strong as your skills with a welder. That's with old DIY ones, there's I think 4x4 Labs also does DIY ones now, or does them for the GX. Any bumper or any project where you're the fabricator, you're building it, it's not built in a factory, it's not tested or anything like that. At the end of the day, you are responsible for everything. That means the structure and integrity of your welds will matter. If you jack up a recovery point and you decide to pull out a semi and it fails, that's technically on you. So that's the tricky part. This bumper is amazing, but it's only gonna be as good as your own skills go, or whoever you hired. I really trust the person I hired to do this. I'm thinking about having him do my front bumper too. But yes, at the end of the day, this bumper is gonna be as good as you make it. So that isn't, I call that a con, because it's, when you buy bumpers from other companies, you at least have someone to blame when shit goes south. If that makes sense. So we have 2 more cons. So the next one is actually gonna be about the hitch. So if you decide to order the hitch, again, it comes in a bunch of pieces. It's up to you to assemble it. it's not tow rated, right? They can't tow rate a hitch that comes with a bunch of metal, right? Those welds are the integrity of the entire system. So again, the hitch is not tow rated. I have towed with it. I towed from Arizona to Washington with a big ass U-Haul through honestly a few trails because I camped my way up here. Did just fine. And I've towed a ton as well. Everything obviously under 6,500 pounds, but still I towed a bunch with it. It did fine, but Coastal Off-Road does not condone towing with your rear hitch. It's used for things like recovery, a bike rack, or stuff like that, where it's not gonna, you know, get someone killed on a highway. It can't be tow rated because you're doing it yourself. So that is a negative. It is something to think about, that is not a tow rated hitch. The last thing too that I want to touch on, and I kind of mentioned this as a pro because it is something you get to do yourself with the customizability and everything. But there are a lot more hitting costs. Even though it is an incredibly affordable bumper, it's all going to depend on what you have access to. So if you need to pay a fabricator, let's say you're in, I don't know, LA, right? Everything's more expensive over there. You're going to end up paying more than someone in Arizona or someone in like Wisconsin. You're going to pay more for fabricating, so that's a cost that it's not really, you don't associate it with it, but it's there. The other thing too is whatever you decide to coat this thing with, whether you're powder coating it, you're painting it yourself, you take it to a professional shop, you get it color matched, whatever you do, that's another cost that has to be applied or think about when you're actually using this or when you're designing this and getting it and stuff like that. Is there are going to be a bit more costs that you might not be, you know, realize until it's, you know, it's time. So, but I think it's still cheaper. And that's it. That's the cons. I don't have any other cons. This thing holds my tire just fine. It holds my tire with my high lift jack. No issues. Just great. So yeah, that's the end of the cons. So I'm gonna kind of give a brief report before I get the hell out of here, because as you can see, it is getting dark fast. All right, guys, so again, thank you for watching the pros and cons list. So now what I'm gonna kind of do is give a brief, like, end all be all what I feel about Coastal Off-Road, the rear bumper, and then the reason I actually decided to make this video. So we'll start with that. I saw in the GXOR post in the Facebook group, there was someone who had the Metaltech rear bumper for the GX. The Metaltech rear bumper for the GX, it was the first bumper I saw for the GX, and I just fell in love with it instantly. It was before the Victory one came out. It was just so sexy. I don't really know how to explain it. I loved it. Had that side step. I loved the way the rear end looked with the latch system and everything. I loved how high the gas tanks sat on that design. Gosh, I still think it is one of the best looking rear bumpers. It doesn't have as high a clearance as this one, but it looked really good, right? Well, there was somebody actually complaining that their 33-inch tire was making this sag, and it was kind of making it rock a lot more. It was the latch system wasn't working correctly because it was sagging. Even though it's rated for a 35-inch tire, their 33 just wasn't making the cut. But that's insane to me. So I was like, how does almost a $4,000 rear bumper end up like that, right? That's insane. And then I had a few people actually reach out to me directly and just like, hey, I saw your rear bumper. What do you think? Someone posted my photo actually of Bluey in the group and was like, hey, what do you guys think of this rear bumper? And I'm like, hey, that's my truck. I love it. So I decided to make this video because people have been asking me about the rear bumper, about Coastal Off-Road, and we're forming a partnership with Coastal. Like we're going to be doing some partnerships later on down the road, but that doesn't skew how I feel about this rear bumper. They're not paying me at all. This isn't like a sponsored one. This is just me kind of fanboying over my experience with this rear bumper. I've had nothing but great things with this rear bumper. Every mishap or something that I'm like, God, that sucks, was because of me. Like I have a little rust spots every like little corner. There's like maybe a little rust spot, and that's because I suck at painting and I'm impatient. I primered it. I put like a half a coat of primer before I sprayed bed liner on it, just because I was impatient. I didn't want it sitting in my front yard. If I would have spent more time doing it, it would have had zero issues. But every issue that I've had with it, I didn't even put in the cons list because it was my fault, right? Because it was the extent of my skills at the time. Because I'm impatient, I suck at painting. This bumper has been amazing. It's not just built amazing, it's not just thought through, but it is just great. I just don't have any other words, but it's just a great functional piece to add to your vehicle. And they make it with, you can get one swing out or just the tire. You don't have to get both swing outs. Again, it's modular. You can, whatever you decide to have. A buddy of mine only has one swing out, and I think it looks sick. And yeah, I just freaking love it. Take a drink though, I'm running out of word juice. And while I was making this too, or not while, I guess, when I was like, hey, I'm gonna make this video, I reached out directly to Coastal and I said, hey, is there anything you want me to mention, or anything you fixed in the past year of you guys making these bumpers that maybe I should talk about, in case like that was my big con, was like, this thing is stupid, and they're like, oh, we replaced it, you know what I mean? Like, this is all for people buying it. If they were to go buy it tomorrow, what would you expect? So I reached out, and he said really the only thing they've changed is they added a lot of the rear end, the rear faceplate piece. There's a lot more pre-bent metal. So he's pre-bending a lot of the stuff now. So it's pre-bent, meaning you don't have to worry about welding those two pieces together. You don't have to do any of that. It's all bent for you and done for you. So he said he's working on, or he worked on the hinge system to make it a bit stronger. I don't know why. He doesn't need to. He said he did this last year. I've had this bumper since 2020, and it's been fine on the rear end. I haven't noticed any issues with the weight of a tire and the high lift. Yeah, so pre-bent stuff, worked on the tire carrier system, the weight, and yeah, so overall, super pleased with my Coastal Offroad Rear Bumper. I will be doing a front bumper soon. We have a few more personal things to take care of. I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram, but my puppy right now is going through insane surgery. So it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time. So all my funds are tied up with my dog right now. So if you want to help, go buy my rear table. It's for sale now. But yes, I will be doing a front bumper, but obviously I'm gonna wait a little bit. And once I get that all done, we'll make a video on it, be on our way. But I'm gonna get going. It's getting cold and it's getting more dark. It's like 4:30 now. Yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. See you next week. Got a fun one for you. We're gonna be talking about radios. Sounds good. Okay, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna get the hell out of here, so take my little chair and I'll see you.